Hello and welcome to Season 3, Episode 1 of the award-winning HUTV, Huntsville Utilities Television. I'm Todd, joined as always by the Bonnie to my Clyde and the Jekyll to my Hyde, Amanda.
Hey, everybody.
Season 3.
Awesome. I can't believe we've made it to Season 3.
I can't believe we made it to Episode 3 of Season 1, let alone 3 seasons in. But here we are, and you may have noticed the title of today's episode. What was the title of today's episode, Amanda?
Why is my bill so high and I didn't do anything different?
And there's a reason that's the title of today's episode. It's because that's something that we hear quite a lot this time of year.
And we want to answer it. We want to explain why your bill is higher.
Especially if you didn't do anything different. Because in essence, if your bill is higher and you didn't do anything different, you just answered that question.
Right.
That is why your bill is higher, if you didn't do anything different.
Yep. Well, people will say it's my habits haven't changed, and it's just if your habits haven't changed, and that means that you are keeping, your thermostat set in relation to the outdoor temperature, well, then you shouldn't see much more than the fuel cost adjustment, which should have only impacted your bill maybe $15.
Right, and that's the thing that people will say is, I set my thermostat at 72 or 74, and I never touch it.
Right.
Okay, and that's fine if that's the way you want to do it, but let's look at recent weather trends. June was hot.
Right.
Not as hot as July, but it was hot. In fact, July was the hottest July Huntsville has ever recorded.
Yeah, it was record breaking.
Right. And so if you truly do, and a lot of people do, set your thermostat and forget it, then from June to July, yes, you are going to see an increase in your utility bill because it was so much hotter in July that your air conditioner was having to run more.
Right.
And nothing uses more energy in your home than your heating and cooling system.
Exactly. Well, and then the other thing is we wanted to address a little bit more about the fuel cost adjustment from TVA. And we've got an article that we'll share down in the links below. But, the FCA, we wanted to explain that the fuel used is not gasoline. And that gets confusing.
Right, and that was a discussion that we actually had amongst ourselves as a department back before we put the post out about the fuel cost adjustment, because I said people are going to think we're talking about gasoline, and we are not. Gasoline does not enter into this at all.
Right. And even though TVA has definitely diversified all of their different ways for generating electricity, we do have hydropower, we do have solar, we do have wind, but we also have things like nuclear, and we have natural gas. And natural gas actually makes up 26% of TVA's diversified means for creating electricity.
Yeah, and there's still even some coal in there. Not a lot, but there still is a little bit of coal in there.
Yeah,
and
they're down quite a bit.
Yeah, and if you've been following world events, you know that due to the situation over between the Russians and the Ukrainians, that's heavily impacting natural gas prices right now.
But it's still traded on the global market,
right,
or world market.
And so that is when we're talking about the fuel cost adjustment, that's what we're talking about, the price of natural gas, the price of the uranium for the nuclear plants, to a small degree the price of coal, what it takes to generate electricity outside of the hydro plants, the wind, and the solar.
So did you want to talk any more about the heat? I mean, I feel like we've kind of touched it. Are there anything else?
Yeah, I mean, you can't talk about it enough. The heat has been just oppressive, and that's, nothing impacts your energy usage more than the weather, and specifically the outside air temperature. If we have a very, very cold winter, bills are going to go up. If we have a very, very hot summer, like we are in the middle of right now, your bills are going to go up. And when that is combined with this fuel cost adjustment,
yep.
And I want to state one thing in particular about the fuel cost adjustment. You will hear us say often that we are a not-for-profit utility. For every dollar that you as a customer spend on electricity, Huntsville Utilities only keeps 15 cents of that. The other 85 cents goes to the TVA. So that 15 cents goes to cover our operating costs. So that's not a lot. And just like everything else, our operating costs have gone up as well. And in fact, when we talk about operating costs, of course, we have the salaries of our electric line workers and engineers and such like that. But there are also charges for things like utility poles, transformers, power line, and the prices of those things have gone up as well.
Yeah, Todd and I did a little digging, and we talked to our purchasing department to find out what the price increase has changed since everything left the normal world, which was in 2019. So 2019 to 2022, we saw poles, our concrete poles and our wood poles went up 15 and 24%. Our pad-mounted transformers and then the pole mount transformers actually went up 56%. And then the last one that we thought was interesting was our bucket trucks. Our bucket trucks went up 31%.
Yeah.
So
ultimately, the bottom line is this, and this is the thing that we want to stress. If you don't want to adjust your thermostat or do these other tips that we have suggested, and you don't have to, believe me, you don't have to.
Right.
That's fine. But just know, if you don't, your bill is going to be higher. So that's the answer to your question. I didn't do anything different. Why is my bill higher? Your bill is higher because you didn't do anything different.
Right.
And it's been incredibly hot. And the fuel cost adjustment.
Yep.
The fuel cost adjustment and the temperature are two things we can't do anything about.
Well, and feel free to comment if you have a question about something. Obviously, don't make it about your personal account.
Yeah.
But if you have a question or something that you want us to address, look into, we're happy to investigate things for you as far as energy efficiency and things coming down the pipeline for energy tips.
And if you would like to have your bill looked at, if you've got a question about it, your first step should be to start with our Customer Information Center, and that number is 256-535-1200. They are actually better to ask about it than Amanda or I, simply because they have access to your billing information. We do not.
If your bill has jumped up drastically, and you're seeing a significant increase from one month to the next, that's another good time to call our call center, and they can go over the bill with you. And if they decide that maybe there's something that an energy technician should look into, you can have your home evaluated. It's $50 for a home inspection, and we'll actually look at your home and try to figure out what is causing the most energy usage in your particular situation.
Right, and we want to remind you as well that it's very easy to monitor how much electricity you are using. If you go to our website, hsvutil.org, you will, and you have online access to your account, which is free and easy to set up, then you can go to the electricity consumption tracker. And it will show you down to 15-minute intervals how much electricity you're using. And so if you're seeing a spike at a particular time of day when nobody's home, then that can tell you, well, maybe I should adjust my thermostat down when I'm not home, or anything like that. And if you... The people in our customer information center can go over that information with you as well. If you see something in your tracker and you're not too sure about that, one quick note about the tracker: right now it only allows you to track electricity consumption. We've had a couple of people say, "Well, wait a minute, I'm trying to find out how much water I'm using." We're not at that point yet. We're working on rolling that out, but we don't have a timetable for when that's going to be yet.
Right.
Anything else you want to add to this before we move on to other topics?
No, I think we covered everything.
All right. Well, again, if you've got a question, please ask it. And this would be a good time to ask a question, because we would very much like to bring back our viewer mail segment where we answer your questions or comments or such. But we got to have questions or comments if we want to answer them.
Yep.
Yeah, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it post a comment. Okay, so a couple other things we want to move on to before we wrap up episode 1 of season 3. Amanda was quick to point out today that I'm wearing a tie, which is very unusual for me. I will be the first to admit that it's very unusual for me, but I happened to stumble upon my big collection of ties, which I do have a large collection. I'll wear a tie today.
It looks good. It looks good.
Everybody thinks I have a job interview today. I don't. I just felt like wearing a tie. But it does bring me to this news story that I saw. The Prime Minister of Spain, Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez, is asking government officials and people working in the private sector to save energy by not wearing ties.
Interesting.
Yeah. He appeared at a news conference wearing a suit with an open shirt and no tie, and he said he was doing this to curb utility use. But he never really explained how not wearing a tie saved energy.
Well, yeah, wearing a tie, that can make you hot.
True.
So I noticed you've got yours a little loose.
Well, that's because the shirt's a little loose because I've lost 110 pounds. So the shirt is a little loose.
So maybe for you, it's not quite as
Yeah,
noticeable.
it's not as big a factor for me. Plus, we're also down in the basement of our building. So it tends to run a little cooler down here.
You can say that, but I'm always warm.
But in Spain, Spain has been dealing with the extreme heat, just like we have. Temperatures in that part of the country have often been surpassing 104.
Wow.
And that's not counting the heat index, which I'm sure they have there just like we have here. So there you go. So I am going to show my support by this will probably be the last time you see me in a tie for a while. And it was the first time you saw me in a tie for a while anyway, so it kind of balances out.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, good tip.
Yeah. Before we go, there is one other thing we want to mention, or a project we're very excited about that we're doing in conjunction with the American Public Gas Association. The American Public Gas Association is an organization that works on behalf of public natural gas utilities like Huntsville Utilities and for their customers to help with issues related to natural gas and energy and things like that. And we work very closely with them. We have a good relationship with them, and we are producing a podcast that launched 2 weeks ago. It's called Freedom to Fuel. And Freedom to Fuel is hosted by the Senior Vice President of Customer Care for Huntsville Utilities, Mr. John Olszewski.
Yep. And you won't see me in it. But I'll be behind the scenes. You'll know that I'm there.
Yes, and I get to play lovable, affable sidekick.
Right.
In this one. So I don't do quite as much. I'm the announcer and the sidekick in this one. But we've had 2 episodes already go live. You can find Freedom to Fuel. Right now it has its own LinkedIn page. So if you go to LinkedIn and search Freedom to Fuel Podcast, then that's how you'll find it. We will eventually switch it over to other platforms, but for now, this is where we're starting it at. And as it picks up an audience, which it's doing pretty good, it doubled its audience last week.
And we're only on episode 2 on that one,
and we're only on episode 2. So we've got episodes drop every Friday, so be sure to check it out. Lots of interesting stuff there. This is a very interesting time for the natural gas industry, and so a lot of stuff we're going to be discussing there as well. Do you have anything else you want to toss in here, Amanda, before we wrap this up?
Nope. I'm just excited to see everybody's comments and questions, and don't forget to like and subscribe. That way you can catch us in our future episodes. Yes,
and you won't miss out on any of these cool projects that we're working on. So thanks for watching, and until next time, I am Todd for Amanda and everyone else here at the award-winning HUTV saying thank you for watching, and remember, you can't spell utilities without you.